Sir, that will set off your alarm. I used to work for a security alarm company. In their dispatch office, I would get signals like burglary, fire, silent panic, or maintenance needed notifications and follow our policy on responding. One of the highest priority alarms are silent panic alarms, like you might have at a bank or a jewelry store. In this case, I believe it was a small business jewelry store. The thing about panic alarms is that we have very strict rules on how to respond. If someone calls, verifies their identity and gives the cancel code, we can't just cancel our immediate police notification. We don't know if someone is holding a gun to their head or otherwise threatening. And unless an account has specific instructions to do so, we never call anyone but the police. Not even the account owner, until after the police are done. One day, a man calls in because his alarm system won't arm. He's getting a trouble signal, just a low battery, from panic alarm number 2. His system won't arm until that trouble signal is cleared, and we usually suggest people have spare batteries on hand, but it seems he didn't feel that was necessary. I let him know that we can send our on-call person out, or he can try picking up supplies from a battery store, but he just wants to go home. He's getting very frustrated, but there's genuinely nothing I can do from my end to bypass a panic sensor and arm his system like he demands. Eventually he says, "I'll just smash it and go home." I tried to tell him that'll set off the panic alarm. He uses some loud and unkind language, and then he hangs up. And then, seconds later, panic number 2 is triggered. Per our policy, I called the police, gave them dispatch information, then sat back and felt very pleased with myself. It continued to feel kinda great even 5 minutes later, when he called back infuriated that the police had shown up to his store for a panic alarm. I explained to him that something set off his panic alarm and we must respond to all of those with the same urgency, since we never know what's happening on the other side. He wasn't pleased, but eventually we were able to reach our on-call tech to fix the panic button, which not only had a low battery, but now physical damage that required it to be replaced. Good job. You had no way of knowing if that wasn't some ploy to rob the store and blame it on you. This is part of the reason why alarm calls are treated as a joke, because they are never legitimate. Hell, I started my career as a 911 operator. Every time a thunderstorm happened, thousands of alarms would go off in my dispatch zone alone. 6 precincts total. People have motion alarms and have pets running around inside. If your alarm saves you more dollar on your homeowner's policy than it costs to have, by all means get one. If not, don't pay a professional company to monitor it, as they are a waste. Get one you monitor yourself and save the cash. If you see someone in your house or know something isn't right, you can call and give specific details, especially if you have live video. If you call and can give descriptions of people inside or around your home and details of where and what they are doing, cops can and will respond much faster. What happens with alarm companies? 1. Your alarm goes off. 2. They wait a moment to see if you cancel it. Some places have lazy workers who wait forever, or workers with way too many alarms they can't respond quickly. 3. They attempt to contact a key holder. They may then attempt a second key holder and then retry the first again. 4. They then call the local dispatch center for law enforcement and have to relay all the information to the dispatcher, who in turn has to enter it all into the computer-aided dispatch system. 5. The call then goes to appropriate dispatcher who, if an officer is available, and in these short-staffed times that's not very likely, has to relay that information to the officer. 6. When an officer is available, they then have to drive to the location. Now, at best in the area I was a 911 operator, That process would take 12 to 15 minutes if an officer was available for dispatch and close to the CAL location when dispatched. Typically it took about 20 to 25 minutes. At my old sheriff's office where we could have a 45-minute drive to get to a call, that process could take an hour assuming we had someone available. Where I work now, it's around 15 minutes at best and typically 20 minutes. What happens in that time if it is legit? Your stuff is gone before the cops get there. Now add in the routine places that have their alarms always go off and get cancelled, then redispatched and cancelled again. Living room motion detected, only to see a Great Dane walking around, thunder setting off glass break alarms. Yeah? They are seen as a joke and do nothing but waste time and resources for departments. Let's also not talk about the number of people who set up alarms for dispatch and don't know the codes they set up or get pissed off when cops show up or request they come out to a location to secure it. Confirm if anything is missing when an employee or family member forgets to simply lock a door. Sorry we inconvenienced you by responding to the alarm you set up, and we ask you to come lock your own door. Alarming story. Policy is policy after all. Now I follow my policy and call the police. I used to go out with a guy whose family was under police protection and had a panic alarm in their studio room. We spent lots of time in that room with friends, and once I accidentally triggered it while I was cleaning some shelves. I had no idea it was there. The police showed up within 2 minutes and we were held inside while my boyfriend ran to get his ID. We were only 16 to 17, so it was terrifying at the time. Though now it makes for a cool story. Some people just hit at things to fix them, I suppose. Reminds me of when I was working as a banker and our alarm tech came out to do some repairs and literally showed me several of the security flaws in our system and how easy it would be for me to rob the bank. Not a robber, but me, he said. You got the codes to the door. You could just waltz in here one Sunday afternoon, lift this unsecured panel here, snip this wire, and we'd never know. I made sure to get all his information in case he decided to rob the place and try to pin it on me. Was there a charge to fix the alarm system box? What about some kind of duress code for customers? The real code to disable the alarm, and the other one that will disable the alarm but also send a lot of police DT, the duress alarm code. Just wanted to throw this out there. The on-call security tech was probably pissed about going out because this dude broke his shit. Normally we can walk him through bypassing or deprogramming to get him through the night until business hours. We work during the day like a plumber or electrician, then have to rotate after hours call with other techs. People seem to assume we are working some sort of night shift or something, and the customer will want either immediately, when truth is, we have worked hard all day, then have to leave family dinners and stuff like that to deal with idiots. Sometimes though, it is a genuine emergency for a business that truly needs it. Fire alarms, or an elderly person who can't get their siren to stop. These are legit reasons to dispatch the after-hours tech. Not the Karen who calls after hours and wants someone out now because they don't want to wait until the morning to make a service appointment. The only joy we get is the sticker shock the Karens get from the bill of an after-hours emergency service rate plus travel to and from our houses. Hi, I am a technician. A low battery in a pendant shouldn't prevent arming in a properly configured system. It should alert monitoring, and then the service managers should email client to advise fault and reprocessing, followed by a call. These batteries fail more than a year apart, and a client shouldn't be expected to remember how to replace the CR2032 or 2450 battery. The fact your system didn't have auto bypass would lead me to believe it was DSC or Boscher. in avionics very poorly configured into a more sophisticated system. That being said, it's nice to see a monitoring operator who respects the strict instruction, because more often than not it's there to prevent idiots or wrongdoers from killing systems. When I worked as a teller, we had fast response times for our alarms. My branch never had a real alarm, but twice a new worker played with the alarm trigger under the counter enough to set it off. And every once in a while the manager would have to go in after hours with a police escort, because something set off the after-hours alarms, considering that some of the other branches did get robberies a few times while I worked as a teller. I'm glad they always treated it seriously, even if my own locations never had a real situation. My dad does that. He gets upset at less than item name, and after reaching a point where his frustration overcomes his thinking abilities, he just starts smashing it and hitting it. Yes, the inanimate object will feel threatened and in distress, so it will try harder to do the thing you want it to. Just like your kids, Dad. Unfortunately, I am the techie guy of the family, so it fell on me for years to not only figure out the root cause of the issue, but to fix any physical damage. For example, he once smashed a phone because the call quality was poor. The reason? Someone had managed to unplug it from the filter and plugged it back in the wrong socket. The outcome? Dial pad smashing. Several numbers stuck beneath the plastic. Sir, you can only go one way through the whole store just for batteries. Back when I was a kid, we had an old defunct alarm system from a company no longer in business, and it would cost us money to have them deactivate the system. I say deactivate because it was just eating through batteries on the keypad and wall alarms. Then would use wall power to start an endless loop of alert chimes every 40 seconds to signify time to change batteries. I took an all-in-a hammer, punched out the centers of every speaker module, and we never cared about it again. That being said, if the system still works, why not just put batteries into it like you would in 1998 when The Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a cell and plummeted 16 feet through an announcer's table? I work in a security company now. Why didn't you just have him bypass the low battery signal? We had a manager who would ask us, "What's your point?" Way back in '79, a high school senior was working at a little pharmacy which was located right next to the police station. He leaves to attend college and transforms from clean-cut kid to grubby-looking hippie guy. After his first year, he comes back to the store for summer work. Owner forgot to tell him about the security system they put in, which included silent alarm under the register. He's rearranging bags under the register and unknowingly triggers the alarm, then goes to use the restroom. Cops arrive at the back entrance with a commotion while this guy is in the bathroom, so he quickly opens the door to see the fuss. Cop spins around and puts a shotgun on his nose. Thankfully the situation de-escalated and got sorted out. Everyone told him that the store didn't sell men's underwear. I worked there a year later with a sister of the guy. For historical interest, a carton of cigarettes was $5.39. People used to line up the first of the month to get their smokes. Emergency meeting. Boys in blue suits.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.